On August 15th at 7 p.m., D23 will hold its Experiences Showcase at the Honda Center. This is the parks panel that covers all the Disney parks worldwide. Today, we'll be going through predictions specific to the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, 6 experiences and the details Disney may announce for each, from rides that are already under construction to new lands that are still several years away. And there's a reason this year's showcase may be a bit different from previous years. Disney Experiences is now run by Thomas Maslum, who succeeded Josh D'Amaro as parks chairman this past March. Maslum previously ran the Disneyland Resort, with Jill Estorino now stepping in as president to replace him. So the man prioritizing and greenlighting these projects for Disneyland should already be well familiar with the resort's needs and challenges. And by the end, you'll know which of the 6 you can plan a trip around, and why one highly anticipated announcement will finally settle a huge fan debate. Let's start with one that we'll definitely hear about, which is Coco. This is the first fully dedicated attraction based on Coco in any Disney park, and Imagineering isn't likely to be focusing it around screens. It's a traditional, high-capacity, water-based dark ride in the direct lineage of Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion, with a boat carrying you alongside Miguel into the land of the dead, accompanied by the film's music and a full cast of skeletal audio animatronics. And here's why this one's a safe bet. Site clearing had already started backstage in fall 2025, and by late May of 2026, the site was in full construction mode, foliage cleared, a new service road cut through, and big construction equipment doing their thing. The entrance will be the area between the edge of Pixar Pier and Paradise Gardens Park, across from Silly Symphony Swings. This corner already hosts the Coco-themed Plaza de la Familia celebration. What's likely to be announced on stage is the official name of the attraction, an official opening date, and possibly some test footage of the highly touted animatronics in development. While no opening date is official as of today, it's been projected to be sometime in 2028, with the latter half more likely so that it coincides with the actual Dia de los Muertos holiday. Next is something you can reliably build a future trip around. The Avengers Campus expansion doubles the size of the land and features 2 e-ticket attractions in one enormous show building. The first is Avengers Infinity Defense, an indoor multiverse adventure where portal-hopping vehicles jump across Asgard, Wakanda, and New York to fight a dimension-hopping King Thanos. And the second is Stark Flight Lab, an open-air pavilion where 2-person pods are manipulated by giant robotic arms and swung through the air as simulated flight. The structural steel frame is fully up and the show building is largely enclosed. And here's the tell that we're finally getting close to an opening. In June of 2026, Disney formally assembled the test and adjust team for the expansion. This is the operations crew that gets the attraction guest ready, and it's led by a veteran who ran the teams for Millennium Falcon's Smuggler's Run and Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. Notionally, a test and adjust team starting up means the attraction is closing in on being operationally ready. Based on the complexity of these attractions, a staggered opening is the likely play. The simpler Stark Flight Lab first, around mid-2027, then the more complex Infinity Defense later in the year, most likely timed to the press campaign for the theatrical release of Avengers Secret Wars in December 2027, the follow-up to Doomsday in 2026, but likely no later than May 2028, to coincide with the massive amount of tourists that are planned to be in the area for the LA Summer Olympics. Expect exact dates, more detailed concept art, and behind-the-scenes attraction footage to be presented. And if you enjoy this kind of Disneyland What's Next analysis, be sure to hit like and subscribe to help support our channel. Third is an actual Tomorrowland upgrade. Not quite the full reimagining we all feel is needed, but an overhaul nonetheless, with Autopia. 2 things to keep in mind. A reported roughly $600 million top-to-bottom overhaul of Tomorrowland was drafted and then rejected a few years back, as senior leadership decided the ROI wasn't enough to justify it. So instead, we're getting an incremental attraction-by-attraction refresh. Imagineering singles and doubles approach already in play at Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland in Orlando. We're now seeing the start of this in Anaheim. In June 2026, Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters reopened with a repainted exterior, pushed back toward the brighter retrofuturistic palette of the 1967 Tomorrowland. Secondly, there's a regulatory mandate. In August 2024, California's Air Resources Board fined the resort $56,000 over the non-compliant gas engines in Autopia's fleet, and as part of the settlement, these gas engines must be replaced by February 1st, 2027, or Autopia closes and stays closed until the vehicles are converted to electric. Imagineering is already testing electric prototypes, and the Honda sponsorship expires in 2026. So it's still unknown if Autopia will feature Honda-sponsored electric vehicles, or it may have a different sponsor, or no sponsor at all. At the D23 showcase, expect at least test footage of the electric prototype and the refurbishment schedule. D23 has surprised the audience in the past with reveals, so it's possible that a physical ride vehicle will make its way on stage or on the show floor. Now let's transition over to the speculative announcements. Paint the Night came back in May of 2025 for the resort's 70th, and it makes its final performance on August 20th, 2026, which is 5 days after this showcase, before it returns to the vault, leaving Disneyland without a permanent nighttime electrical parade. So the upcoming void is real and imminent, which is exactly why a new parade announcement is likely. Announcement of a new parade won't be unusual. At D23 2019, the Magic Happens Parade was announced ahead of its February 2020 debut. There are two possibilities. One is yet another limited time return of the classic Main Street Electrical Parade. It's low cost, dependable, and a proven draw. The other, more ambitious play is a West Coast version or variation of Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away, which opened at Magic Kingdom in July 2025 as the modern LED successor to Spectrum Magic. May or June 2027 would be the reasonable target as the resort heads into the tourist-heavy summer months. Which brings us finally to the headline many have been waiting for, the fate of Hollywoodland, which is anchored today by Monsters Inc., Mike and Sully to the rescue. The well-established plan here is for an Avatar destination, a West Coast counterpart to Animal Kingdom's Pandora, built around a boat ride through the open seas of Pandora. And yes, there's been chatter about a pivot to another property, but Disney has yet to deviate from Avatar in its public-facing announcements. So the onstage announcement will settle the big debate once and for all. Either way, whatever Disney does end up confirming, this new experience will be gated. The new attraction show building needs the bus loops behind Hollywoodland demolished first, and that demolition can't begin until the new Eastern Gateway Transit Hub is operational, which is expected around 2028. Also, the Monsters enclosure has been delayed until 2027 to preserve DCA's guests and attraction capacity until it can be replaced with Avengers and/or Coco. At the end of the day, even with onstage confirmation of Avatar, vertical construction isn't likely until sometime in 2028, with the land itself realistically opening in 2030 or 2031. Expect an actual name for the experience as well as new concept art, possible ride vehicle details, and if this land will feature more than one attraction. And how about DisneylandForward? This is the 40-year land use framework the city of Anaheim approved unanimously in May 2024, with at least $1.9 billion committed. And it's what finally allows Disney to build out immersive theme park lands on what's currently just parking lot space. But the critical path to all of this happening is also the build-out of the Eastern Gateway, and that's already underway. Here were some key events. Demolition permits for the 70,000 square foot Team Disney Anaheim East building and other structures were filed this past February and June. And this fall, vertical construction begins on a roughly 6,000 space parking structure and transit hub off Disney Way, with a pedestrian bridge over Harbor Boulevard leading into a new esplanade between the two parks. So why is this key to DisneylandForward? When the parking structure opens around 2028, the existing bus loops relocate, freeing that area for Avatar construction. And even more significant is that the Theme Park West overlay, which includes the Simba parking lot, would now be available for clearing and theme park construction. The actual IP for these lands hasn't been officially announced, but I've speculated in previous videos that these are likely to be Frozen and Zootopia based on a newly approved 300-foot structural height allowance as part of Disneyland Forward. Honestly, announcements for parking and a pedestrian bridge aren't very exciting, but this could lead into some blue sky concept announcements for whatever Disney is planning to build here, much like how Villains Land was announced on stage in 2024. So out of all of these, which are you most excited to hear more about? And do you think Disney will have other announcements in store? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next video.